Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest MPJ new rock album review show. I'm Nigel. I have Andy and Lauren and Trish. We don't have Chris and Paul. They're not well, but good luck and get well soon. Today's offering, what are we reviewing out there? Will it get into Hall of Fame? We are reviewing Freakstorm and Dust of Glory. Right, not a band that we've come across before. Trish, let's start with you then. What did Dust of Glory do for you?
Oh yeah. This album is a storm, absolutely, with stonking, banging tracks, even with the cover of Shot in the Dark thrown in for good measure. The lead's vocals are strong to counter the punchiness of the guitar and drums to produce a bloody good listen to of an album. It's got the right balance of anthems and ballads. Out for Glory was my favourite track on the album by far. This was a fresh listen to make my ears prick up. This album will leave other albums in the dust as it catapults its way to glory.
Right, Andy, what do you think?
Firstly, the cover art is terrible on this album. I'm sorry, it is. I'm going to disagree with Trish a bit. Well, quite a bit, sorry. But apart from one thing, which is that the vocals were actually pretty good, but problem is the rest of it is very dated sounding, done on a budget, kind of song for me, I'm afraid. One of their videos, they were just dancing around a dentist's office. It was like, what's going on there? Why are you dentist's office? Anyway, I didn't enjoy it that much, I'm afraid, for me. But the vocals were the saving grace from it. The lead vocalist, she's got a very good sound and a good performance through for it. It's always tricky because, it was sort of like 80s inspired, that kind of level of power, rock through for it. But for me, it just didn't get the gap from the 80s to now. It sounded like it was sort of back there for me. So it didn't really work, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Lauren?
Yeah, well, for me, I actually really enjoyed it. It is an example for me, and I don't know whether it's because it is a very well-known, well-done genre of rock, or just because, from what I looked, they're quite fresh to my listening. But overall, for me, it gave the vibes of I have heard a lot like it. And there are other bands and performers that I go to first when I think of this sort of stuff. But overall, they were really good. They're doing it really well for me. I really enjoyed it. I think she's got some lovely vocals. I'd really think that if you gave her the opportunity, she could really push them and really go for it. And it could give you chills given the right moments. Compared to other stuff we've listened to this month, it is up there with being a bit better, but there are other things that just picked it for me to the post. Hence why I gave it the score that I did. But yeah, main takeaway from it is it a huge standout? No. Is it terrible though? Definitely not. It is good at what it does.
What does it do? What style of music did this resonate with you then? What I mean, you say other people do what stuff? What stuff?
Well, it is, like Andy said, it is that sort of 80s, for me, late 80s sort of flavour going into it. And for me, that was the sort of music that my mum and dad gave me to listen to when I was starting off in rock. They were like, you think you know rock? When I was walking around going, oh yeah, Queens of the Stone Age and Green Day are amazing, there's been nothing like it before. And they were like, strap yourself in, here's what we had. It's got those veins in it, and it does really well. I think that if they did lean into some of the modernism that there is available now, with some of the bands, like some of the other artists we've listened to this month have, I think it could be really interesting. I'd be really interested to see how that blends. But you can tell for them that they developed a real taste for that 80s sort of period of rock, and they've gone, this is what we love, this is what we're paying homage to. which means that yes, it is good and they've done it very well, but you do sort of sometimes get stuck in that trap of it then just sounds a lot like everything else that is of that time. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed it. Be interested to see what comes next.
Okay. Well, you're talking to an aficionado of the 80s, where I kind of grew up, and let me tell you now, this is not 80s. No way. Not even close to it. From that perspective, it had no bearing on the likes of Bon Jovi and etc. etc. So I didn't hear that at all. I heard a very much a more modern kind of upbeat kind of rock and roll, a little bit of heavy kind of metal stuff in there. We've coined the phrase here, pop sense, and I think the only thing I let it down was it was on occasions a bit too poppy from that perspective, which might made it sound 80s style. But I'm an aficionado of that 80s. That's where my bread and butter kind of grew up on. I would not have thought. Trish was along for the ride back in those days, but I'm older than her, so I was there. I was living the dream. I didn't hear that at all. I think for me. I heard, and I agree. Her vocals was outstanding. I mean, outstanding. She has got one hell of a voice, and I agree as well. I think I'd be really excited to hear kind of more of what she kind of does from that perspective as well. I adored the album. I didn't think it was perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I was damn close. I thoroughly was entertained by this album as well. Some of the tracks that I absolutely loved was Out for Glory and Welcome to My Alter Ego were kind of some of my faves. Terrific album, and I don't think this was a throwback to the 80s. Look, every album has a DNA, and I'm not saying that it doesn't have it in its DNA, that sort of stuff, but I don't think it was a throwback to those days. No, I think if I'd heard this in the 80s, I would have thought it was a very progressive album from that perspective, and something kind of new and exciting. I would have put it into the mix, shall we say? But let's find out, shall we? Will it get into our Hall of Fame? Let's find out then. Let's give our ratings out of 5. Trish, let's start with you then.
I gave it a 4.
A 4. I was expecting more from your comments, but there we go. So
not more.
A 4, but not more. Andy?
I gave it a middle of the road 2.5.
2.5. Lauren?
I gave it a 3.5.
Paul hated it. 1.5. Who knows? Who knows with Paul? Who knows? Chris really, really enjoyed it. He gave this a 4. So we're going to drop Paul's 1.5 because I give this it was 5 for a while, and then it just on repeat listens it just got that little bit too pop sense in it. So it got a 4.5 from me. So 4.5. That makes it a 3.7. It's just short of our Hall of Fame, but does get 60 out of 100 so far this year. That's how high level the albums have been, and top half 208th album of all time out of 562. So really good, solid band, solid effort, well received, well liked overall, look forward to seeing what they follow up with from that perspective. So thank you very much to my rocker. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Leave your comments below. Hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for my panel, to Andy, to Lauren, and to Trish. Goodbye and keep on rocking.